What would you do if you only had 3 years to live? If you went to the doctor today and he told you you had some deadly disease that would kill you in 3 years, what would you do? How would you spend your precious remaining time on Earth? Well, this is exactly how you should start living your life right now. In fact, the stakes might be even higher than that. You see, there are worse fates than death. We can all agree on this. And one of those worst fates is wage slaving away the rest of your life for peanuts at a soulless 9 to 5. This is why a lot of Gen Z have been saying they'd rather die than work a 9 to 5. And to be honest, I agree. So if you don't act quickly and boldly, you might never get another precious opportunity to escape the rat race for good. You might just be subjected to a fate even worse than death. So, let's first take a minute to quickly address the elephant in the room. Why do I say 3 years specifically? Well, with the way things are going right now, the US is speedrunning its own economic collapse. There was some hope in the beginning that Trump's presidency would change things for the better, but unfortunately, that hasn't happened at all. Inflation has somehow gotten even worse, and the debt continues to skyrocket. I wonder if even he knows the collapse is inevitable at this point and he's just pushing for accelerationism now. Of course, we all know the economy is already horrible right now, and after 3 more years of tariffs, severed relations with other countries, and unsustainable debt, the damage will probably be irreversible. I want to make it clear that this isn't meant to be a politically biased video. I don't think the situation would have been any better under Biden or Harris. Maybe the collapse would have happened slightly slower, but it was going to happen either way. One thing we can all agree on, though, is that Trump has certainly antagonized other countries far more, which could make it significantly harder for Americans to move abroad by the end of his second term in 3 years here, which, as we've covered, is actually one of the best ways to escape the rat race. We've talked about this a lot here on this channel. But this isn't just an American thing. Canada has recently banned its citizens from even collecting rainwater. The UK is arresting people for subjectively controversial tweets. Governments around the world are becoming more and more authoritarian as more and more people are seeing through all the lies and looking to escape society. If you want to escape this nightmarish wage slave rat race, you might not have that much time left to make your move. So, where does this all leave you? In this based community we've built, we all know that working for the system is BS. Working on hours on end for trash wages, only to see your rent double every few years and never being able to save up anything at all. This is a stupid, rigged game society wants us to play, and Gen Z has rightfully recognized how stupid it is and wants no part of it. The goal at this point isn't to try and win the game, it's to escape it. But how do you do that? Well, there have been many creative solutions that young people have figured out. I myself moved abroad to a cheaper foreign country and live a minimalist lifestyle. Others have found other ways to live off the grid, such as living in a van, homesteading, volunteering, or even extreme survival in the wilderness. It doesn't really matter which way you choose. What matters is this: whatever it is you decide to do, you better start planning it out yesterday. If you want to move abroad, start saving up money and researching your new destination. If you want to homestead, better start learning how to run a farm right now. If you want to just venture out into the wilderness and build a log cabin for yourself like this guy right here did, well, it's time to start practicing, because in 3 years, this might not be possible anymore. Once the collapse fully manifests, this is where you see governments become more tyrannical than ever. Canada has already banned its citizens from even collecting rainwater to drink. Germany wouldn't let a guy live in the woods by himself, and American passports will probably lose their strength as the Trump administration antagonizes the rest of the world. If you haven't figured out a way to escape the rat race by then, you might just find yourself stuck in this living hell forever. So, let's go back to the question I asked you in the beginning of the video. What would you do if you only had 3 years to live? No, forget that. This is actually a worse fate than death. What would you do if you knew you had 3 years to act, before being sent off to hell on earth forever? Well, for starters, you'd probably live a lot more fearlessly and decisively for sure. You'd probably make your move a lot sooner as you don't have that much time to wait and you don't have that much to lose at this point. And a man who doesn't have much to lose is dangerous. This is one silver lining, one hidden benefit to how bad our generation got screwed over in this economy. If this were a perfect economy, you'd be considered crazy for leaving your stable but unfulfilling job to go live out your dreams. It would be way too risky. But in this current predicament we're currently living in, what's even the risk at this point? What? Losing an imaginary good job that was never there to begin with? Losing financial stability that will never ever exist for our generation? You see where this is going. There's literally nothing to lose. I had a good friend once who, like a lot of you, was totally crushed by student loan debt. One day he had enough and decided to just quit his job and sell the few belongings he had left for cash. It was at that point when he realized he was free. He had nothing more to lose, so there was nothing more they could take from him. I remember him telling me, What are they going to do at this point? Take my shirt? I've talked with a lot of you in our new Discord community recently, and one thing that gives me just a little bit of hope is that a lot of you are starting to come up with potential solutions. Remodeling a van into a livable space and just doing van life, moving off grid, and starting a homestead. For a much easier solution that a lot of you could implement even today, you could simply volunteer in a hostel overseas, exchanging 20 hours of easy, chill work per week in exchange for free food and accommodation. Your living expenses would essentially drop to zero, meaning if you could secure even a small online side hustle of a few $100 per month, you could buy a one-way ticket and escape the 9-to-5 wage slave hell for good. So, as you can see, as bad as things are right now, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But it's not about trying to win this rigged game society wants us to play. There is no winning it. It's about trying to escape it. Society is already collapsing in front of our very eyes as we speak. And in 3 years, it might just collapse entirely. When this happens, you can bet that governments and corporations around the world are going to be way more authoritarian in trying to control the population. They're going to want to keep as many people enslaved as possible to keep their joke of a system running. Once that happens, it will become infinitely more difficult, if not impossible, to escape. Life is all about timing. Hard work doesn't pay off anymore. And we all know this. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. Buying Bitcoin 15 years ago didn't take any skill or hard work. Being born as a boomer in the booming post-war 1960s economy didn't take any skill or hard work. As you can see, it's all about capitalizing on these short timing windows when these precious opportunities are still available. But here's the tricky part. These opportunities are often only visible in hindsight. Years later, when the history has already been written and the ship has already sailed. They're never immediately obvious in the present moment, otherwise everybody would jump in on them. And by then, it's already too late. I believe we are living in one of these moments right now. It is a golden opportunity to check out of this rigged game, this broken system, this messed up society. It might also just be your last opportunity. So, whatever solution you have in mind, whether it's van life, moving off grid, moving abroad, or homesteading, it's time to move swiftly. We have a full tier list guide on all the ways you can successfully check out of this society and never have to work again. This should help you get started in your journey. Check it out. I'll see you there.